The impact of religion and Sufism on arts in Sudan, the influence on modern poetry. محمد عبدالحي Mahoud, 1944-1989, Part 2. Dear audience, this is our second encounter with the renowned Sudanese poet Muhammad Abd-Al-Hayy. We met him in our first part, introducing his biography and taken an example of his writing in which the influence of tasawwuf and religion has been shown. So we continue today, and our continuation with him, in fact, is a continuation for our journey through time, through history, trying to introduce the influence, the impact of religion and Sufism on Sudanese modern writers, the special reference to modern Sudanese poets. So we continue, and today this is our second encounter, as I told, with our renowned, our celebrated poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy. And today we meet him with his masterpiece, The Science Out, معلقة الإشارات. So معلقة الإشارات is the focus of our encounter with the renowned Sudanese poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy. And in fact, معلقة الإشارات, The Science Out, represents a refined expression of philosophical mysticism. The work consists of 7 interconnected sections, each dedicated to a different prophet and messenger, starting from Adam and ending with Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon them. So, in fact, this masterpiece out, The Science Out, represent furthermore Sufi philosophical phase and stage, marks a significant milestone in Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy poetic development, one that followed his profound quest for identity. So as we have encountered him in our first meeting, that his focus, Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy focus, or thematic meanings, his message and his purpose behind his production to poetry is there in seeking the identity, the speech on the identity. And we told that he is one of the pioneers. Not only this, but he is one of the most pioneer and founders to the school of the forest and desert movement, literary movement in Sudan. So we encounter him today, and as I told, seeking his influence with the language of religion, with the language of tasawwuf. The Science Out, sometimes known as the Signals Out, first appeared in the form of an 8-page fold-out. 7 pages were occupied by the poem itself, while the 8th was devoted to the title. It was published by the Department of Culture in 1977 with an additional subtitle, a prophetic poem in the realm of poetry and history. The poem contains subtitles for each section, namely Adamian sign, Noahic sign, Abrahamic sign, Mosaic sign, Jesus sign, Muhammadan sign, and then concluding sign. The poem consists of 60 lines distributed across these 8 subsections. The longest of them is the Muhammadan sign, which has 40 lines, followed by the Abrahamic sign with 12 lines, while the shortest is the concluding sign with 6 lines. For more information in this particular context, I am referring you to Muhammad Abd his article القصيدة الضوئية معلقة الإشارات لمحمد عبدالحي alantologia.com, published in 1977. In fact, the science out is the summary to the history of messengers and prophets. More specifically, those who named in Islam with the resolved messengers. So, in fact, as I told, the sign out is not more than a summary to the greatest events that have come across and have occurred, and make up at the end a summary to what is known as in Islam the resolved messengers, أولي العزم من الرسل. And أولي العزم من الرسل, or the resolved messenger, referred in the Arabic as أولي العزم من الرسل, meaning the messengers of strong resolve. They are the prophets who demonstrated the greatest patience, endurance, and steadfastness in delivering God's message despite severe trials. The 5 resolved messengers in Islamic tradition, based on Quranic verses and classical exegesis, identifies 5 prophets as Ulul Azm, and they are come as follows: Noah, Ibrahim, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. And our poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy, by the way, has taken 6 out of the whole messengers, including the 5 resolved messengers. And he started with our prophet Adam, for Adam is the first sent messenger and prophet to his nation, and at the same time Adam represents the first human being to deliver the message of Allah. So here we have 6 messengers. We have the 5 resolved messengers plus the father of those prophets and messengers. I'm referring here to our prophet Adam. May Allah be blessed with them all. And in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah Al-Ahqaf, verse 35 said, "So be patient as were those of strong resolve among the messengers. واصبر كما صبر أولو العزم من الرسل." The influence of Sufism on Muhammad Abd Al-Hay's poetry is clearly manifested in the very title of his poem, معلقة الإشارات, the science out. For the choice of science is far from arbitrary. For in Sufi discourse, the sign carries greater expressive power than the explicit phrase. It represents a higher stage of expression through which the Sufis convey profound meanings that ordinary language fails to contain. This understanding was deeply rooted in the writings of major Sufi masters, foremost among them Ibn Arabi, the author of المدخل إلى المقصد الأسمى في الإشارات, who distinguishes between the outer and inner layers of speech and treats the sign as a bridge to intuitive expressional knowledge. It is therefore unsurprising that our poet was influenced by Ibn Arabi's world and his vision of language, as we previously noted, for he found in this Sufi Harrazian a spacious realm in which to craft his poetic symbolism and reshape the relationship between sign and meaning. So what I would like to say is that even the title of the poem معلقة الإشارات, the word إشارات, signs, is a pure Sufi term. The audience, I would like to reminding you that I'm presenting the impacts, the influence of religion and arts in Sudan, and our focus throughout with this series is the influence of religion and Sufism on modern poetry. And our journey with the renowned poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy continues in its second part. So we started our speech and we said that our focus this time with our renowned, our celebrated poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy is having his out, the signs out or the signal out, معلقة الإشارات. So just I would like sharing, by the way, the audience, I would like sharing the Arabic lines starting with إشارة آدمية, and I quote another إشارة that is إشارة محمدية. While throughout my presentation to the thematic meanings, we come across the other 5 إشارات in Arabic. So let us start with إشارة آدمية. بالأسماء نستدعي العالم من فوضاه. بالأسماء نستدعي العالم من فوضاه. البحر، الصحراء، الحجر، الريح، الماء، الشجر، النار، الأنثى، والظلمة والأضواء، ويجيء الله ملتفا بالأسماء الحسنى. بالأسماء هذا مولده رؤياه. And then here we have إشارة محمدية. فاجأتنا الحديقة انعقدت وردا ونارا في قلبها الأضواء، والخيول النورية البيضاء، والطواويس نشرت في بلاد الصحو ريشا منسجا. كل شيء في غصون الحقيقة آس نار وموجة في بحار عميقة. من لهيب ومن جمال ويمن يسقط الطير قبل أن يدرك الساحل منها، مستقبلا في ابتهاج حريقة. فاجأتنا الحديقة الزهراء، أشرقت في مركزها القبة الخضراء، وتوالت بشرى الهواتف أن قد ولد المصطفى وحق الهناء، واكتست بالنور الجديد من الشمس ابتهاجا، وغنت الأسماء. So the audience, these are 2 إشارات, 2 signs out of the 7 Arabic signs. For originally the poem, the out has been written in Arabic, and what I'm doing, just I try to share the other audience, those non-Arabic speakers, to be familiar, to be acquainted with the contributions of the Sudanese modern poets with a special reference to the impact on modern poetry, with a special reference to their influence, to their impact with religion and Sufism in their poetic production. The turn then the audience comes to the English version of the signs out معلقة الإشارات. I would like to point out to the audience that this poem man out has been translated by the translator Dr. Abdalحي as part of translation of selected works from Sudanese literature published in 2015. From another side, what I would like to say that our poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy started with Adam and then concluded with Muhammad, and this itself has its indication, which is that the first messenger, the first prophet is Adam, the father of all prophets and the father of humankind. And in conclusion, we have our prophet, our messenger Muhammad. So we have the beginning with Adam, and then we have the ending with our prophet and messenger, the seal of all messengers and prophets, our prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So this is what I would like to say. And then let us go to the English translation version of the Oud, as I told, has been translated by Dr. Abdalحي. An Adamic signal with the names. We recall the war from its chaos. With the names, we recall the world from its chaos. The sea, the desert, the stone, the hand, the wind, the water, the trees, the fire, the female, darkness, and lights. And then Allah comes, wrapped in His divine attributes, the names. That's the purse of His vision. An awake signal. I almost cry in the Lord's face. How did you find peace after unleashing the water's terror onto fields where, year after year, sweetie work snatch a slice of greenness off the jaws of the barrenness lion, of the barrenness lion? Why should another wandering begin again? But I say, as everything is fading away, flash lightning through the darkness of His agony to illuminate this poem, an arc pregnant with all our weaknesses, a longing for our old new land. An Abrahamic signal. Is He coming? Is He coming through the night of utterance, through the silence of utterance and the starry rose? In the night score, glittering like a sword in the flash of darkness? Is your other angle coming tonight? Listen, a falcon's screech wild glad tidings, foam of slaughter sheep's blood in the constellation of stars, luminous horses in the clouds, language in the wind made of green flames on trees, the escaping night bird turning to ashes in the mirrors of fire. A mosaic signal. The ashes in the virgin dawn come together and mount. Green trees in the pure light, red fruits in the dewy leaf. In the dewy leaf, a white bird, a lavish spring, everything a dream revealing the promised land. A Jesus signal. Here comes the tinkling of dawn's footsteps on hills and trees, telling how the wind passed through the harp, how the angel and the virgin embraced under the ceilings of fire, and the streets clamor and dust. And then they parted to his heaven and to her subdued body, and the blood song flashing in the purse chords was put on play. A Muhammadan signal. The guarding took us by surprise. The guarding took us by surprise. In its heart clusters of roses and fire transformed into light. White, luminous horses. Peacocks on the land of soberness spread woven feather. Everything on the leaves of truth, fire, trees, and a wave in deep seas of flame, of beauty and blessing. The birds fall before reaching the horses, joyfully embracing their burning fate. The blooming garden took us by surprise. At its heart the green dawn blossomed, and glad tidings followed in. The chosen one was born. Felicity became reality, dressed in fresh light from the sun. The names sung in celebration. A signal. A son of grass and two doves singing before the beginning of time, after the end of time, burning on the branches of palm trees. And then the audience, following my reading to Arabic and English translated version of the Oud, the science Oud or the signal Oud, here we would like sharing the thematic meanings that our poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy tries to deliver, to share, to transmit to his audience. Let us go with the first إشارة آدمية. بالأسماء نستدعي العالم من فوضى. البحر، الصحراء، الحجر، الريح، الماء، الشجر، النار، الأنثى، والظلمة والأضواء. ويجيء الله مرتفا بالأسماء الحسنى. بالأسماء هذا مولد رؤياه. So it is clear of the words that we listen to while he is reciting, while he is composing بالأسماء, and in fact وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Surah Al-Baqarah, وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها. So he's mentioning to البحر الصحراء الحجر الرياح الماء. By the way, this is just the names, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I have read the verse وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها. So the knowledge that Adam has taken from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to name things. So the creation is brought from and through the names that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided Adam with, the name of things. And to focus clearly, on these words, البحر الصحراء الحجر الرياح الماء الشجر النار الأنثى والظلمة والأضواء. As you see, duality, here we have duality. ومن كل شيء خلقنا زوجين اثنين. So here we have the duality in the life. الظلمة in terms of darkness, in terms of light, and then we have water, we have the fire, we have the sea, then we have the desert. So as you see here, everything has been created in form of duality. So only oneness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The phrase ملتفا بالأسماء الحسنى بالأسماء, and this is, by the way, this is what is known in the Islamic tradition, Islamic Aqidah, as the manifestation of names, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has His own manifestations in the universe. So the manifestation with the names is there as part of the meaning of manifestation generally. That is because we have the manifestation of attributes, we have the manifestation of names, the names, and we are required to think, to contemplate with these two, while we have been forbidden to contemplate on the essence, the manifestation of the essence, tajalli zat. So we are not required to do that. Anyhow, our poet here from the early beginning started this ishara adamiyya, to recall the first birth of the humankind on the earth, and then how the universe moves. It moves through the manifestation of the God's names and God's attributes. And Adam, the first prophet, have been taught these names. في إشارة نوحية, that is نوائج signal, he stated أكاد أن أصرخ في وجه الإله كيف استرحت بعد أن أطلقت من عقاله رعب المياه على حقول نزعت بقطرات عرق الجبين عبر مفاذات السنين شريحة من خضرة من بين فكي أسد المحل لماذا يبدأ المتاه. So the core lines of these signals and the sign of Noah is just a speech on the idea of the flood. Then the poet speaks on the wandering at tea, while he concluded with his saying, in his saying, but I say, as everything is fading away, لكنني أقول وكل شيء مال للأفول. So this is inevitable end, that is the fading away, the passing away of everything, of every entity in the universe. And as if he concludes by saying that we have been descended from heaven to the new land, and then we will back again, ascending to the old land. المركبة الحبلى بكل ضعفنا وشوقنا لأرضنا القديمة الجديدة. The phrase المركبة الحبلى بكل ضعفنا وشوقنا لأرضنا القديمة الجديدة. So just here we have the word المركبة. المركبة, by the way, it is the ark. It is the Noah ark. And the Noah ark, سفينة نوح, it is that ark in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has summoned the creatures to be there in duality. For the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to our prophet Noah, أحمل فيها من كل زوجين اثنين وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول. And the ark itself stands as the symbol of salvation and the repairs of the human beings on earth after the flood. And then we have here إشارة إبراهيمية, an Abrahamic sign or signal. هل سيأتي عبر ليل الكلام، عبر صمت الكلام والوردة الكوكبية في مركز الليل لامعا مثل صفحة السيف في لحم الظلام؟ هل سيأتي ملاكك الآخر الليلة؟ اسمع صرخة الصقر والبشائر الوحشية، رغوة من دماء كبش ذبيح في بروج. Is he coming through the night of utterance, the silence of utterance? These lines, or this line, is an expression to the longing for the revelation, the coming of the angel. The moment of supplication here is awaiting to the angel, and by the way, the angel has come and has given the glad tidings with the pearls. وبشرناه بغلام حليم أألد وهذا بعلي شيخة. So as if this sign or signal, Abrahamic signal, is speech about two notions. The notion of the longing for the coming of the angel from a side, and the angel has come, given the glad tidings. The glad tidings of the birth of Isaac and Ishmael. And then the trial and the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to our prophet Abraham, that his child Ishmael should be slaughtered. رغوة من دماء كبش ذبيح في بروج النجوم. So as you listen here, دماء كبش ذبيح. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed, and his bounty and his grace to Abraham was there in the sheep as sacrifice, for he has passed the test. وفديناه بذبح عظيم. So our poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy, by the way, in this sign, in this signal, Abrahamic signals, denoting to the three important parts in the story life of our prophet Abraham. That is his wondering, his thinking, his contemplation to the stars. ونري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض. This is the first incident. The second incident is he's waiting to the angel with the glad tidings, and that is the birth of Isaac and Ishmael. And then finally the story with Namrud, that is the unjust, the aggressive tyrant, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved him from the fire, from the hellfire that they threw him in. The audience, I would like to reminding you that I'm presenting Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy with his noted out, the science out. And then we reach to إشارة موسوية. الرماد في الصباح البكري يلتئم ويعلو شجرا أخضر في النور النقي، ثمرا أحمر في القصن الندي، طائرا أبيض ينبو عن السخي. كل شيء حلم يخبر عن أرض الميعاد. So as you listen here, we have this mosaic signals or sign. So the mentioning of Nur al-Hidayah, the light of guidance, الشجرة المباركة, the blessed tree, and the rebirth of people once enslaved, red fruits in the dewy leaf, the sweetness of a thamar after hardship, like al-man was-salwa, granted to Bani Israel, the sons of Israel, a white bird, a lavish spring, sign of peace and mercy, a pure bird. And then we have the promised land, أرض الميعاد. Jesus signal. هذا رنين قدم الفجر على التلال والأشجار، يخبر كيف مرت الرياح على القيثار، واعتنق الملاك والعذراء تحت سقوف النار، وضجت الشارع والغبار، وافترقا إلى سمائه وهي إلى جسدها المقهور، وبدأت أغنية الدم التي تضيء في حنجرة العصفور. So these lines speak showing the coming of the arrival of the dawn, the tidings of the dawn, and that is the birth of the Christ. And as you listen here, we have واعتنق الملاك والعذراء, so the angel Jibreel with Mary. قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لا هب لك غلاما زكيا. And that is the story of the birth of Christ. Poet took us to the Muhammadan sign. فاجأتنا الحديقة عقدت وردا ونارا في قلبها الأضواء، والخيول النورية البيضاء والطواويس نشرت في بلاد الصحو ريشا منسجا، كل شيء في غصون الحقيقة، آس نار وموجة في بحار عميقة، من لهيب ومن جمال ويمنى، يسقط الطير قبل أن يدرك الساحل منها، مستقبلا في ابتهاج حريقة. فاجأتنا الحديقة الزهراء، أشرقت في مركزها القبة الخضراء، وتوالت بشرى الهواتف أن قد ولد المصطفى وحق الهناء، واكتست بالنور الجديد من الشمس ابتهاجا وقنت الأسماء. So the garden took us with the surprise, and that is indicating to the birth of the light, the birth of our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So by the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, then the light overwhelmed and prevailed the universe. And the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, disseminated his God message as the final messenger and prophet. And following he spent his time in the life, he passed away, and he buried where? فاجأتنا الحديقة الزهراء، أشرقت في مركزها القبة الخضراء. So his birth in Mecca, and then his burial in Medina, and in Medina, the symbol of the green dome. So from the birth in Mecca to his burial in Medina, here we have the story of the Prophet, which is still we are living under its teachings, under its light. فاجأتنا الحديقة الزهراء، أشرقت في مركزها القبة الخضراء، وتوالت بشرى الهواتف أن قد ولد المصطفى وحق الهناء. And as I see it here, the influence of the book of Maulid, mainly Maulid of Imam al-Barazanji, is here so clear. So, and this is, by the way, is not strange to find our poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy influenced with such a language. Since Sudanese are familiar with reading the Prophet biography, mainly through that masterpieces of the book of Maulid, إمام البرزنجي، وتوالت بشرى الهواتف أن قد ولد المصطفى وحق الهناء. It is there, this quoting directly from the book of Imam Barazanji, our poet, quoting from him directly, and this is indication that Sudanese children so influenced, so impacted with reading a book of the Prophet's Sira, and the example is here. وتوالت بشرى الهواتف أن قد ولد المصطفى وحق الهناء، واكتست بالنور الجديد من الشمس ابتهاجا وغنت الأسماء. So the universe is in a state of gladness, is in a state of bliss and a state of happiness, and that is by the coming of the Prophet, the light, peace and blessing be upon him. By this I came to the end of our second encounter with our renowned, our prominent and celebrated poet Muhammad Abd Al-Hayy. And just in this part, which in fact is the second encounter with him, we delivered his masterpiece out, the science out. I'll see you in another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.